94 seconds to impact. In the pitch-black silence of the Persian Gulf, a flickering ghost the size of a golf ball just challenged the most powerful navy on Earth. You are looking at the exact moment the US Aegis system stopped believing in diplomacy and started believing in physics. This isn't just a skirmish, it's a brutal masterclass in technological dominance. Today we deconstruct the 180-second execution that didn't just shred a Russian-supplied drone swarm, it redefined the future of naval slaughter. You won't believe what the kill web did next. This data is updated daily. Subscribe to stay ahead of the curve. Track 7042 speed 100 knots. Profile matching a loitering munition launched from Iranian coastal sector 4. The RIM-116. Rolling airframe missile screams off the rail, with a violent compressed roar that shakes the entire ship. Its infrared seeker snaps awake mid-flight, hunting. The friction heat glowing from the fiberglass nose cone of the Russian-supplied Garan-2 drone. 42 seconds to impact. The drone has no defenses, no pilot, only a deadly flight path loaded with high explosives. The RIM-116 snaps a 3-degree correction at Mach 2, tearing through the sky at 1,534 miles per hour. The intercept happens just 3 meters from the hull. The 25-pound fragmentation warhead detonates in a brilliant flash, unleashing a storm of tungsten pellets that rips the Russian-built airframe into 5,000 pieces of shredded carbon fiber and atomized fuel. The Garan-2 disintegrates in mid-air, its deadly payload scattered harmlessly across the waves. But this was only the opening salvo in a vicious naval confrontation where the hatred between the United States and the treacherous Iran-Russia axis burned hotter than the explosions lighting up the Gulf. Western intelligence had tracked the shocking reversal for months. For years, the flow of deadly loitering munitions ran one way from Tehran to Moscow to fuel the war in Ukraine. Now the Kremlin had flipped the pipeline shipping hardened Russian variants of the Shahed 136, known as the Garan-2, straight into Iranian hands. These were not just drones. They carried battlefield-tested guidance systems, anti-jamming receivers, and manufacturing secrets straight from Russian factories. Moscow denied everything, calling the transfers fabrications, but the US Navy's kill web saw through the lies in real time. High above the clouds, the SBIRS satellite constellation locked onto the thermal signatures of Russian heavy-lift IL-76 transport planes, lifting off from military airfields near the border cargo bays, packed with crates of modular drone components and upgraded CAMET-M anti-jamming satellite receivers. The Aegis system tracked every mile as those planes crossed the Caspian Sea and touched down in Iran. The kill web built a perfect digital twin of the entire logistics chain, knowing flight durations, crate weights, even the probable battery life of the guidance chips being unloaded on the tarmac. This was Russia openly arming Iran's fanatical forces to bleed American sailors in the Strait of Hormuz, a direct challenge to US sea power and the free flow of global energy. A fleet of battered pickup trucks racing across the desert, each one loaded with 100 pounds of high explosives delivered to launch sites the size of football fields. Each Garan-2 drone costs roughly $30,000 to build, cheaper than a mid-size SUV, while Russia floods the region with a blizzard of these low-cost killers, hoping to create an economic trap. They wanted the US Navy to waste $2 million standard missiles on $30,000 drones, turning naval defense into a war of attrition. But the kill web was engineered to win the return on investment fight just as ruthlessly as it wins the intercept geometry. Sensors on every F-35C, Lightning II in the region painted every pixel of the enemy's inventory in real time. The network logged every truck stop, every disguised civilian shipping container hiding mobile launch rails. To the untrained eye, it looked like ordinary commerce along the coast. To the integrated US battle network, it was a high-priority target set waiting for the execute order. The hatred fueling this clash ran deep. Russia's gamble was a blatant attempt to tip the scales in the Persian Gulf, arming Iran to strike at the heart of American naval supremacy and choke the world's most critical oil artery. The launch came at 3:14 local time in a saturation attack straight out of the Iranian Revolutionary Guard Corps playbook. 40 Garan 2 and Shahid 136 drones rose in a compressed 3-minute window, engines screaming as they lifted off the rails like a swarm of angry low-frequency wasps. Their goal was pure overload: flood the destroyer's radar processors with so many tracks that the system could not sort the real threats from the noise. The drones hugged the waves at just 150 feet, staying below the radar horizon of land-based sensors while closing on the USS Gerald R. Ford carrier strike group. On the bridge of the Ford, the atmosphere was one of ice-cold professional focus. The ship's dual-band radar lit up the instant the drones cleared the coastal dunes. Aegis began sorting 40 distinct tracks, assigning each a unique digital identifier and calculating precise intercept points based on wind speed, humidity, and blistering drone velocity. Threat level high, engagement logic tiered defense. The first layer struck in total silence. The AN/SLQ-32 V7 electronic warfare suite activated, flooding the sky with high-gain digital noise that specifically targeted the Russian Kamet-M GPS receivers inside the drones. This was the soft kill phase, invisible and merciless. 12 drones suddenly went blind. Their gyroscopes lost satellite lock and began drifting wildly. 4 banked hard and spiraled into the sea just 5 meters from the coast. 3 more collided in midair in a spectacular shower of sparks and burning carbon fiber. But 28 drones kept coming now. 30 miles out from the carrier strike group, the Arleigh Burke-class destroyer in the screen took over with kinetic fury. It did not waste its most expensive missiles first. It followed the sequence principle, using the perfect tool for the exact range and cost. The RIM-162 evolved. Sea Sparrow missile roared out of the vertical launch cell with a thunderous blast that shook the deck plates and vibrated through every sailor's boots. Accelerating to Mach 4 over 3,000 miles per hour in seconds, the missile's blast fragmentation warhead detonated in the center of a 3-drone formation. The kinetic release was like a sledgehammer smashing glass. 8 drones vanished in the first 12 seconds, pulverized into nothing. Now the remaining 20 drones were inside the 10-mile mark, closing at 170 feet per second. The engagement turned raw and visceral. The ship's 5-inch Mark 45 gun slewed toward the horizon, loaded with hypervelocity projectiles traveling at 5,600 miles per hour. The rhythmic chest-thumping roar of the gun filled the air as each guided shell created a wall of lethal lead. Shrapnel shredded fiberglass wings and punctured 2-stroke engines. 5 more drones plunged into the waves, trailing fire. 15 remained as they entered the inner defense zone. The Phalanx CIWS woke up with terrifying precision. Its white pill-shaped radar dome tracked the nearest target, while the 6-barrel 20mm Gatling gun spun to 4,500 rounds per minute. The sound was a continuous, terrifying growl echoing through the steel hull. The first drone simply ceased to exist, torn apart by 50 rounds in less than half a second, turning into a cloud of dust and burning gasoline 1,000 yards out. The Phalanx slewed relentlessly to the next, then the next. One lucky drone survived a random gust and closed to within 500 yards of the hull. The RIM-116 launcher on the aft deck was already locked. The missile covered the distance in less than a second. The orange flash of the 100-pound warhead detonating harmlessly over the sea lit up the bridge crew's faces. 114 seconds had passed since initial radar lock. 40 incoming threats identified and destroyed. 40 confirmed kinetic kills. The U.S. Navy suffered 0 casualties. Listeners, right here in the heart of this Persian Gulf naval clash, does the staggering investment in these layered defense systems feel worth every dollar when it keeps the sea lanes open and protects American families from skyrocketing energy prices? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. We read every single one, and we honor the service members who stand watch on these warships so the world can keep turning. The deck of the destroyer was now littered with spent 20mm casings smelling of hot brass and cordite. But the U.S. Navy does not stop at defense. While the swarm was still being dismantled, a pair of F/A-18E Super Hornets had already launched from the USS Gerald R. Ford and were orbiting at 30,000 feet. They were not hunting drones, they were hunting the origin. The sensor-to-shooter link fed every detail from the Russian shipment, tracking straight into the pilot's cockpits. The lead Super Hornet did not need to search. The ship had already painted the target. Coordinates confirmed, master arm on. Under the wing, the AGM-154JSOW glide bomb, a 500-pound GPS-guided weapon with a 70-mile range, slid silently off the rail. It deployed its wings and began a stealthy glide toward the Iranian coast, weaving around known air defense radars with 0 acoustic warning. On the ground, the IRGC crews were frantically reloading mobile launch rails with the next batch of Russian-supplied Geran 2 drones, convinced they were safe 40 miles behind the coastline. The JSOW simply appeared overhead. Its warhead detonated in the center of the staging area in a blinding flash. Russian-built trucks, spare drone crates, and launch rails vaporized instantly. Secondary explosions ripped through the site as fuel bladders ignited, sending massive fireballs into the sky that SBIRS satellites captured from orbit. Target neutralized, 0 collateral. The Super Hornet banked hard and vectored back for carrier recovery. The mission had severed the entire Russian logistics chain in under 10 minutes. This was more than a successful defense in the Strait of Hormuz. It was a crushing blow to the Iran-Russia axis that had poured millions and months of effort into arming Tehran with their best localized drone technology, hoping mass-produced low-cost assets could break the back of the U.S. Navy. Instead, they ran headfirst into a software-updated kill web and a wall of tungsten. The economic trap failed spectacularly. The U.S. Navy spent a fraction of the enemy's investment to defeat the swarm, and then immediately struck back, deleting the launch sites and proving once again that integrated real-time data beats isolated analog weapons every single time. The IRGC commanders were left staring at charred pads and empty crates. Russian technology did not fail because of a mechanical glitch. It failed because it was an analog solution to a digital fortress. In the ledger of the kill web, the threat had been erased. The network remained at ready. The sea lanes stayed open. The mission continued without missing a beat. What do you think, listeners, after witnessing this dramatic naval showdown in the Persian Gulf? Does the U.S. Navy's overwhelming dominance in Hormuz send a clear message that will deter Russia and Iran from future sea attacks? Or are we watching the opening round of a larger high seas confrontation that could echo across the South China Sea and beyond? Share your perspective in the comments, hit that like button if you want more real-time breakdowns of these carrier battles, and subscribe so you never miss the next explosive update from the world's hottest naval flashpoints. The kill web is always watching, always ready, and the United States Navy remains the undisputed master of these waters. This is how sea power wins in the 21st century. Stay locked in, because every hour in this high-stakes naval war brings another twist that could reshape global energy security forever. Disclaimer: this video contains content generated or supported in whole or in part by artificial intelligence. This material is intended solely for simulation, illustration, and entertainment purposes. It does not represent real-world events, nor does it constitute political or military advice or verified information. Certain elements may be fictional, dramatized, or inaccurate. Viewers should not rely on this video as a credible source of information or as a basis for real-world decision-making.